The Bay Area's rock station, 107.7 The Bone.
My mom always said,
Mommy!
I'm the mommy.
Sweet mother of God!
It's time for the Weed Man. Hey, Mom, I'm on the bone.
I've never actually done a real radio show before. Just goofed around.
Hey, Weed, who's our guest DJ this week?
Well, I'll tell you, our guest DJ this week is Joe Satriani, who I believe has made more appearances here on Hey Mom, I'm on the Bone than anybody in the universe. Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Is that right? Is that an actual fact?
I think that is a fact.
Wow.
You've been here more than, because, most people get one shot at it,
Wow.
And they don't get invited back, but we keep bringing you back. But
Thank
anyway,
you.
thank you. How you doing? How's your life?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Everything's really good.
Did you see the paper this morning, the date book?
Yes, I did. It's a bit of a shock. When you wake up and you haven't had your coffee and you see yourself in the paper, you think, oh no, what have I done?
And they're quoting you all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter Howlop, he did a great job with this article about pretty much how tough it is to do the national anthem.
It is. And, it is tough, and there are a million stories about how things go wrong. Most of the time, everything goes right.
How many times have you done it in public at a big sporting event?
Somewhere between 10 and 20 times.
Really?
Somewhere in there. I was trying to make a list when I was speaking to Peter about it, and a lot of it sort of got lost in my brain. But the most recent stuff, I think, there's been about 10 or 12. I think the Warriors was the last one I did.
The powerful, clean delivery of guitar maestro Joe Satriani.
Yeah.
That is spectacular. And you're talking about a little story here where I started out playing it as a kid because I was a Hendrix fanatic, had an experience, was in doing a friend's. Well, you tell the story. You were in
the
friend's
story.
basement.
Yeah. So I was in a band with my friend Jimmy Madonna and his dad, cool guy. Side story is he owned Chicken Delight. That was the only time I ever had a really nasty straight job. One day.
You worked for Chicken Delight?
Yeah, it was, frozen chicken parts, all that. Oh, it was terrible. But anyway, besides that. So I'm a Hendrix freak, right? And I'm a kid, and we're rehearsing for a high school show in his basement. And they said, okay, Joe, you're going to do Hendrix version of Star Spangled Banner. Go ahead and try it. So I'm sitting there making noises, bombs screaming, all that kind of stuff. And down the stairs comes Mr. Madonna, red in the face, sweating, screaming at me, holding a Japanese sword.
Oh, my Lord.
And this was pretty serious. It's a serious story, really, but it sounds funny when I tell it. But he was just so upset to hear the national anthem so sort of dismembered.
Did he use the word butchered?
Yeah. He used a lot of words that I can't say on your radio show. But it made an impression because I was just a young kid, being 14 years old. You don't really think about maybe what the older generation went through. But he impressed that upon me that afternoon, and I thought, this is a powerful piece of music, and it's not just like playing some, Rolling Stone song to get people up off their feet. This is going to affect people in a serious way, and so you better think about when you do it, how you do it. And so I remember that every time I step out on a field or a court to play, I remember that afternoon and Mr. Madonna freaking out over that version of it. And I have to scan the audience and think, what are they really going to tolerate? What's really going to be appropriate this time?
You learned a lesson as a young guitar player.
Yes, yeah.
And I see you say you do a straightforward version of the anthem for Giants games, but you put a little more Hendrix in it for the NASCAR event?
Yeah. Well, every audience is different, and I'm sure, we have an audience right here. And
hey, thank you for coming, everybody.
Thank you.
And a big fat thank you to Emergency Barbecue, San Francisco Bay Area's premier mobile barbecue catering company. Thank you guys for feeding us. Very nice of you. Go ahead, national anthem, sorry.
So, well, if I was going to play it here in this room, I'd have to really, cater to this room, to these actual people. I'm looking into people's faces. I'm looking at them and I'm feeling their feelings, and so my performance would reflect that. So when you're, doing a Seahawks game and it's 40 degrees and you're out in the middle of the field and everybody's like 200 yards away from you, you have to kind of go on a different kind of an instinct than if you're in front of a small room, or even like a Warriors game. People are closer, you're in the court, there's people, maybe 10 feet away from you. And because the nature of the game, I think, the level of intensity, baseball games, it's going to be steady, it's going to be long. Football game, people are going to get hit right at the beginning of the game, you know what I mean?
So every version's different.
Every version's different. But I just I've always noticed that the players and the fans at the football games want you to go crazy. They don't want a literal translation. And the baseball fans really want you to play it very nice and clean, and they want the game to start. Thank you very much.
Right on time.
Get off the field.
Do you have any bookings for the national anthem coming up here? that
No,
you can
a
mention?
couple of years ago, I said, I think I want to take a break from this because I find it kind of stressful. And maybe it's because I don't have the band there. When you go on stage and you've got a band with you, it's like having your buddies with you, and you just feel a little bit more, I don't know, courage, I guess. But when you're out there, in front of maybe 60 or 90,000 people, just there, forget about TV, and everybody knows the song, doesn't want you to mess it up, and plus, as an instrumentalist, you don't have any lyrics, you don't have the power of that, so it's purely, they're looking at you like, how's he going to do this? And so it can be a bit nerve-wracking.
And that's pretty much what that article is about how tough it is to do that.
It is. And he tells the story, or he relates the story of the A's game where I got the false cue. And
nobody heard it.
Well, it's funny when you're playing it in a baseball stadium, when you face part of the audience, you're playing in front of 10,000 people. So that's a lot of people. So when you're there and you're looking at them and they're all standing and they think you're playing it, and you're playing it, you think you're playing it, and it finishes and they clap, but the people behind you, there's another 50,000 people, and they're going, what's going on down there? They can't hear a thing. They just hear the audience, going crazy. But for where we were, the artist relations person, my manager, the so-called roadie guy, I was playing the national anthem, and they
just
turned
like
around,
you were supposed to.
Yeah, and the 10,000 people behind them were standing up. So we finished, and then all of a sudden, please rise for the national anthem.
Oh, my Lord.
and I said, I guess I should play it again. And the guy said no, and he ran up and he turned my amp off and he took my gear off. And I kind of walked off thinking, this can't be right. Is there another guy going to play the national anthem? Everybody else stood up. And
Time for you to go, Mr. Satriani.
Yeah. So, and then I related the story where when I got home, I had messages from everybody saying, wow, what a protest. What are you protesting?
The hate mail comes.
But they got me back about 3 weeks later, and we did it right. So
Joe Satriani, my guest in the studio. You are the guest DJ today. You're going to be picking the music.
That's
and
right.
Out of the box, you come out with a Journey track. They did a Bone show the other night there at Shoreline on Saturday night. I know you're good friends with those guys.
Yes. As a matter of fact, Neil and I were sort of in a band there with Sammy Hagar for a little bit. We almost got it worked out, but our schedules, being that everyone's got a bigger career doing something else, it was difficult to get it together. But yeah, it's great to have them in town.
Have you heard their new lead singer, Arnel Pineda?
When I was recording Professor Saxophonculus, they were right across the hall at the plant with the new singer. So we saw each other every day for like 3 weeks. So it was great. I got to hear the album built up, right from the ground up. And that guy can sing, man.
Well, let's listen to some classic Journey. Here's Don't Stop Believin' from 107.7 The Bone.
107.7 The Bone.
Streaming online at 1077thebone.com.